Case study originated from the French economist, engineer, and sociologist Pierre-Galen Frederick Leplay. From Leplay's methodology came the written documents we know today as case studies. By the middle to late 19th century, case studies had become the norm as teaching tools for developing new theories and hypotheses. By the start of the 20th century, industrialists began looking at using this case study to develop their own theories relating to efficiency, manufacturing, supply lines, and so forth. Today, the case study is a document that is no longer confined to just developing theories and hypotheses. It is a document that also makes a case for a particular solution to a given problem. What is a case study? According to Yin 2009, a case study is an empirical inquiry that investigates a contemporary phenomenon in depth and within its real-life context, especially when the boundaries between phenomenon and context are not clearly evident. According to Bruni 1990, it is a systematic inquiry into an event or set of related events, which aims to describe and explain the phenomenon of interest. The case is the core or centered stage of inquiry. A case study is a puzzle that has to be solved. The first thing to remember about writing a case study is that the case should have a problem for the readers to solve. The case should have enough information in it that the readers can understand what the problem is, and after thinking about and analyzing the information, the readers should be able to come up with a proposed solution. Writing an interesting case study is a bit like writing a detective story. You want to keep your readers very interested in the situation. A good case is more than just a description. It is information arranged in such a way that the reader is put in the same position as the case writer was at the beginning when he or she was faced with a new situation and asked to figure out what was going on. A description, on the other hand, arranges all the information, comes to conclusions, tells the reader everything, and the reader really doesn't have to work very hard. When is a case study appropriate? According to Yin 2003, a case study can be considered when the focus of the study is to answer how and why questions. You cannot manipulate the behavior of those involved in the study. You want to cover contextual conditions because you believe they are relevant to the phenomenon under study. The boundaries are not clear between the phenomenon and context.
Designs of case study. Case study researchers can employ a variety of case study designs. Some common designs include single case and multiple case design. Single case design, it is where events are limited to a single occurrence. However, the drawback of this design is its inability to provide a generalizing conclusion, in particular when the events are rare. Multiple case design, it can be adopted with real-life events that show numerous sources of evidence through replication rather than sampling logic. Types of case study. There are 7 types of case study. First is explanatory. This type of case study would be used if you were seeking to answer a question that sought to explain the presumed causal links in real-life interventions that are too complex for the survey or experimental strategies. Second is the exploratory. It is a type of case study that is used to explore those situations in which the interventions being evaluated has no clear single set of outcomes. The third one is description. This type of case study is used to describe an intervention or phenomenon and the real-life context in which it occurred. The fourth one is multiple case study. It enables the researchers to explore differences within and between cases. The fifth one is intrinsic. The term intrinsic suggests that researchers who have a genuine interest in the case should use this approach when the intent is to better understand the case. It is not undertaken primarily because the case represents other cases or because it illustrates a particular trait or problem, but because in all its particularity and ordinariness, the case itself is of interest. The sixth one is instrumental. It is used to accomplish something other than understanding a particular situations. It provides insights into an issue or helps to refine a theory. The last one is collective. It is similar in nature and description to multiple case studies. Problem-oriented case studies are usually used for solving problems. These are often assigned as theoretical situations where you need to immerse yourself in the situations to examine it. Imagine you're working for a startup and you just notice a significant flaw in your product's design. Before taking it to senior manager, you want to study an issue in detail and provide solutions. In a greater scale problem-oriented, case studies are a vital part of relevant socio-economic discussions. Cumulative case studies collect information and offer comparisons in business. Case studies are often used to tell people about the value of a product. Critical case studies explore the causes and effects of a certain case. Illustrative case studies describe certain events, investigating outcomes and lessons learned. This is Hannah Pearl Mendoza-Ruz reporting.
At this point, I am going to talk about the case study format. So the case study format is typically made up of 8 parts. The first one is the synopsis or executive summary. At this part, you are going to outline the purpose of the case study, describe the field of research, and explain what you will examine in the case study. Number 2, findings. At this part, you are going to identify your problems found in the case study by analyzing the problem, supporting your findings with facts given in the case, the relevant theory and course concepts, and of course, searching for the underlying problems. Number 3 is the discussion. It summarizes the major problems and identify alternative solutions, offer realistic ways to solve what isn't working or how to improve its current condition. Number 4 is the conclusion, which sum up the main points from the findings and discussion. Number 5, recommendations. Please choose which of the alternative solutions should be adopted. It also briefly justify your choice, explaining how it will solve the major problems. Number 6, implementation, which explains what should be done, by whom, and by when. If appropriate, include a rough estimate of cost, both financial and time. Number 7 is the references. Make sure all references are cited correctly. General format for citing case studies is author, period, year, period, title of the case study, period, number of the case study, period, and URL, period. This is the example. The last part is the appendices. At this part, you are going to attach any original data that relates to the study but which would have interrupted the flow of the main body. Moving on, I am going to discuss about how to write a case study. First, you have to set up the research. Define your objective. Determine who will be the right candidate for your case study. Identify which various consequences could result from the situation. Make a list of credible sources and examine them. And the last one is to focus on several key issues. This time, I am going to talk about the case study outline. So let's look at the structure of an outline based on the issue of alcoholic addiction of 30 people. In the introduction part, the statement of the issue, alcoholism is a disease rather than a weakness of character. The presentation of the problem is, alcoholism is affecting more than 14 million people in the USA, which makes it the third most common mental illness there. Explanation of the term would be, in the past, alcoholism was commonly referred to as alcohol dependence or alcohol addiction. Alcoholism is now the more severe stage of this addiction and the disorder spectrum. The hypothesis is, drinking in excess can lead to the use of other drugs. The last is the importance of your story. How the information you present can help people with their addictions. At the body part, background of the story should include an explanation of why you choose this topic. The next one is the presentation of analysis and data. Should describe the criteria for choosing 30 candidates, the structure of the interview, and the outcomes. Shown here are the strong arguments that you can include. So the last but not the least is the conclusion. So in the concluding statement, you can say that I have researched if alcoholism is a disease and found out that, and in the recommendations, ways and actions for preventing alcohol use.
Hi, today I'm going to explain to you about writing a case study draft. In a draft, you have to develop and write your case study by using the data which you collected throughout the research, interviews, and the analysis processes that were undertaken. Your draft should contain at least 4 sections: an introduction, a body where you should include background information, an explanation of why you decided to do this case study, and a presentation of your main findings, a conclusion where you present your data and references. In the introduction, you should set the pace very clearly. You can even raise a question or quote someone you interviewed in the research phase. It must provide adequate background information on the topic. The background may include analysis of previous studies on your topic. Include the aim of your case here as well. Think of it as a thesis statement. The aim must describe the purpose of your work, presenting the issues that you want to tackle. Include background information such as photos or videos you used when doing the research. Describe your unique research process, whether it was through interviews, observation, academic journals, or etc. The next point includes providing the results of your research. Tell the audience what you found out. Why is this important and what could be learned from it? Discuss the real implication of the problem and its significance to the world. Include quotes and data such as findings, percentages, and awards. This will add a personal touch and better credibility to the case you present. Explain what results you find during interviews in regards to the problem and how it developed. Also, write about solutions which have already been proposed by other people who have already written about this case. At the end of your case study, you should offer possible solutions, but don't worry about solving them yourself. Use data to illustrate key points in your case study.
Finalizing the draft checklist. After you finish drafting your case study, polish it up by answering this. Ask yourself questions and think about how to end your case study.
Good day, everyone. My task for today is to discuss about case study and what case study make use of. Number 1, library research. A library research is an integral component of research project. Number 2, interviews. It refers to a one-on-one conversation between an interviewer and an interviewee. Number 3, questionnaires. It is a research instrument, consists of a series of questions for the purpose of gathering information. Number 4, diaries. It is a record of events, transactions, or observations that kept daily at frequent interval, especially journals. Number 5, historical documents. Historical documents are original documents that contains important historical instruments or information about a person, place, or event. Now, these are some tips of writing a case study. Number 1, use as many members as possible to argue the case and make a convincing conclusion. Let the percentage, units, and facts to do the talking. Number 2, apply all the classical tools of the trade of good technical writing, like bulleted list, using white space, and etc. Important fact case study research method helps in the investigation of educational settings. A case study plays a significant role in the education system for all the students. Well, a case study are centered towards a problem and a solution, and by this, you can easily analyze the situation and also the solution of the problem. That would be all. Thank you.